What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin today. Hit that like button, you guys. Give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Thank you all for being here. Let's get started, okay? I want to start off this video in a kind of non-traditional way from how I normally do it, okay? We'll get into all the basics in a second, but talking about basics, I want to do something that's very simple here. I want to analyze from a Fibonacci retracement perspective, right? What's the Fibonacci retracement? It's this tool over here. You click on it, Fib retracement right there. I want to analyze what every market or every drop this bull market has brought us to. Okay, let's just do that. Does that make sense? We'll make it make sense. Okay, from a low to a high, this fib retracement here pulled back to exactly where the 0.5, right there, right at the 0.5, right there. Okay, 0.5. We go to the next low to high here. Low, if I can get, why is it not? Oh, you see that? It's just frozen. Okay, low to high here. You pulled back where? Just above, but right to the 0.5, right there, right, okay. And maybe if you really wanted to, you could take it from this high here and then say it's right at the 0.5, but I don't know. I feel like I'm cherry picking on that high, but either way, tomato, whatever, right? If you want, we could even take, I think if we take this high to low real quick, high to low here, if you notice here, this little move up, man, this is upsetting, this little lag that I've got going on my computer. This resistance point tipped the 0.5. You even found resistance at the 0.5 right there too. Kind of funny. Here, obviously, not the 0.5. From a low here to a high there, that was not the 0.5. That reached for the 382. So that's, you get a pass there. Not every single one of them can be winners. It's not perfect. But generally speaking, that 0.5 seems to be relatively friendly. And a lot of cryptos have been doing that as well. Low to high here, you hit the 0.5 as support. You went through it here, hit the 618 as support. Okay, so we've seen that. That's the first 618 retracement we've gotten. And then 0.5, again, still showing significance. Even whenever it's not your low, still showing significance on the 0.5, okay? Okay, now we're getting to the juice. Now we're at the right stuff here. This is the good stuff, you guys. Here we go. From a low to a high, and not the fake out high, but the actual high. Where do you think we're going to go? Right? We can stop here. I think we're going to go lower. If we go to the 0.5, that's right at 73K. 73K. And to be fair, we've also hit the golden ratio once, so I don't think we're going to do that. The $73,000 price, that is right at our previous highs here, our previous all-time highs for months there, right there at 73K. If we were to go a little bit, just a little bit below there, to the areas that I'm thinking of, which is like 71K, if we were to do that, that's a little bit of a wick just below there, 71 to 72K. It might be possible that instead of finding support down there, we do find support at 73K. And this is why there's so many things. There are so many things that agree with the notion of finding support in this 74 to 69K area, but a lot of them agree with that 73 to 71K area specifically. So it's important to keep in mind not just one specific number, but a range. I know that some people, for whatever reason, they get frustrated whenever I talk about a bunch of different numbers that are all in the same area. But the reason I do that is not to confuse you, hopefully. It's to address that, hey, if it does go below 73K and instead we see support at 69K, guess what? It's okay. You know what? I'll throw another one at you. If we go down to 66K, guess what, guys? It's okay if we do that. Why? Because that's the golden ratio, and that's fine. We can do that. It's a bit more intense than what I would have expected to happen, but hey, who cares? Who cares what I expect? From a low, or from a high here to the current low, we've dropped 29% already. Down to that 0.5 area would be about a 33% drop, okay? Bitcoin, generally speaking, in the bull markets does drop over 30%. This high to low here, this last drop was if I can get it, a 33.27% drop, which is essentially the exact same drop down at the 0.5 right there. That can't be a coincidence. Maybe it is a coincidence. That's fair. Let's say it's a coincidence, okay? If we take this high to low here, how much was that? Was that a 30? That was a 31% drop there, though, right there. So in all fairness, these kind of things do happen in the bull market. This one was a huge drop, so we're not even going to go over that. This was not a bull market. This was a bear market. We go to our bull market back here from 2 cycles ago, high to low here, 40%. 40% drop, right? High to low here, 39% drop. High to low here, I think that was another 40% drop, right? 33% drop. So these drops of this magnitude overall are pretty damn common. Pretty damn common indeed, right? And I didn't think that we'd get something that'd be over 30% for a while. It took me until like that last moment right before we dropped that I actually accepted that something like this could happen. But here we are. Here we are. And it would make a lot of sense, in my opinion, that 73K to 71K is where we find support. Again, if we go lower, that's okay. Why is that okay? Because we've seen 40% drops. We've seen larger drops than that in a bull market, and everything's fine. And a golden ratio bounce is perfect in itself. A 39% drop is not detrimental. It's scary. It's not going to be fun for anybody holding, or at least anybody holding who's in their first bull cycle. You know, people like me, it's in our third bull cycle, or at least the second one, or more. There's some people who, you know, kudos to the people in their fourth or even fifth bull cycle. To the legends out there, you guys know that this is just another day, right? This is just part of the process. And all I'm trying to say is it's nothing to be scared of. And I think it's very obvious, actually, very, very obvious what's going on. So something that happens with these obvious kind of areas, and maybe it's not obvious now, maybe it will be obvious, maybe it's just obvious to me and to you who's watching this, right? I would at least expect that it's obvious after seeing everything we've just seen. Sometimes we do front run these areas, or sometimes we exceed them a little bit and we go through them. Don't expect it to be perfect. Again, this is why we talk about a range as a whole. Okay, don't have one number in mind. Not financial advice, not a financial advisor. If you want to have one number in mind, go for it. I don't care. But in time, yes, in a very short amount of time, I'm assuming that we're going to move down. What I think is going to happen is that before April 2nd, we will see this move complete itself. We're going to have a sell the hype, buy the news event, not a buy the hype, sell the news event, because this is a negatively received news event, I think, that's coming out on the 2nd. It's bullish for potentially the American economy, but it's not bullish for the crypto economy, right? Because each time that we've breathed the word tariff into crypto, it has caused a drop, whether it's right before, during the day, right after, whatever. Actually, not right after. We've actually moved up right after each time, and then maybe proceeded lower after some time. But you know, the first time that we had these tariffs scare, it was a scare. Indeed, it was. We call this Scariff Monday. It was on February 3rd. Scariff Monday because the tariffs didn't actually come into effect, other than China. Other than China. Oh man, I think my cats hurt my flowers. Yep, I can see that. They definitely did. I'm gonna have to fix that somehow. Anyways, they have no respect, man. Cats, they say cats are good garden animals. I don't believe it. Or if whoever said that, they're smoking something. I call that Scariff Monday because the tariffs didn't happen on Monday. They were just a threat, and then China or Mexico and Canada called and made a deal with Trump, or at least a possible deal, and it did not appease the orange menace. So the price continued to drop afterwards, right? Because the tariffs became a reality. Trump at that point, it was a matter of principle. It didn't matter what they said. He's going to place the tariffs until he feels like they hold up their end of the bargain, whatever the bargain might be. Then on March 4th, I'm not getting political. I'm just literally reciting things that he himself has said. Or for all we know, that's the reasons. Maybe they're not. You can come up with your own politically backed decisions if you want to. I'm trying not to get political. Okay. On the 4th here, you can see we did have tariffs activated, enacted against Mexico and Canada and China, of course. China, and we did drop into that day as well, right? These were the real. We had Scariff Monday. We had Tariff Tuesday. Now, what we're going to have on April 2nd is Tariff Wednesday. It's going to be Tariff Wednesday because this is a tariff event where it is a reciprocated tariff on all countries across the world that have any tariffs against the United States. The United States is not going to necessarily retaliate, right? Retaliation might, and I suppose it is to some degree maybe a retaliation, but it's not like it's personal. It's not like we're going to try and hurt other economies. We're just trying to help out our own economy by doing a tit for tat move, right? If you have a tariff on us, whether it be 5%, 100%, more than that, and there are countries that have some pretty huge tariffs against us. We're going to reciprocate those tariffs on you. And if you do not call President Trump or his administration to straighten this out and to drop your tariffs, or at least discuss something beforehand, those tariffs are going to get placed on the 2nd. There's a handful of countries that have already made agreements to drop their tariffs before this day, so they're not going to get reciprocated tariffs. So what I'm assuming is going to happen is a lot of people aren't paying attention to that. A lot of people are just assuming the 2nd is going to be the bloodbath of a day, and it's going to start a bigger like recession across the markets because these tariffs are going to get in effect. I think it'll be less intense than people might expect it to be. Like a lot of things, we build up things in our head, and then once the event happens, it's like, oh, the world is still spinning. Oh, the economy's fine. Oh, okay, I don't have to pay $15 a gallon of gas. I don't have to pay $10 for a gallon of milk. Bread is still the same price, right? Like maybe it changes for some places, some products, of course it will. But I think ultimately what's going to happen, and who am I to say that what's going to happen in this kind of scope? I'm just a chart monkey after all. But I think that a lot of these tariffs that are going to happen, and I think it was Kevin O'Leary that said it the best. What's going to happen is you're going to get a bunch of countries who are looking at each other, and they're like, okay, the United States, you've got tariffs on the United States. Now the United States puts tariffs on you, and if you increase your tariffs or lower those tariffs, the United States is going to match you for that, right? It's reciprocated. So you're both going to look at each other like, this is stupid. Why don't we just drop the tariffs? This is why it will be a Fariff Wednesday. We had Scariff Monday, Tariff Tuesday, because it was an actual it was an actual tariff event, and then Fariff Wednesday is coming. It's a perfect trifecta of events. And I truly think that on Fariff Wednesday, it'll actually be received more, or after the fact, it might be looked at more positively than before the fact. And I think the people that are anticipating this event, they're going to sell into it. And then once the event happens or before it happens, they might buy into it, right? You're going to see the price priced in. This negative news will be priced in largely. If not, if we're just moving like this and then Fariff Wednesday comes, maybe we do see some kind of wicked dump on that day, but I would assume we recover in a very short amount of time. I wouldn't assume that it lasts long. And I think April at large will be a very good month. I think it's going to be a good month. It'll be the first good month that we've had in a couple of months, in a while. In a couple of months. In like a quarter of a year at that point. I think Q2 is going to be phenomenal. And I'm actually under the impression that June will also be a really good month if we don't top off in May. It's very possible that we top off in May, and where I'm thinking that we top off at, you guys should know this isn't any surprise to anybody by now, is a 173, 175K area, something around 170K. That's my expectations. I'll go over that real quick, and I don't want to bore you guys because I know I said some of this yesterday, so we're just going to go over it real quick, okay? Why do I think we're going to go to 170K? I'm glad you asked. Because maybe you missed yesterday's video. From this low, should I take this low? I think I should. From this low to this high here, you moved up 63%. Is that the right high to take? We'll take it, right? 63%. From this low to this high here, you moved up 58%. Maybe I should take this low, right? To just reinforce the point. We didn't really start to move until here. And I'm not just going to take the low of the move. I want to take the low, or the low of the range. I want to take the low of the move, not the low of the range, okay? This is when your move kind of started. So 55%, 58%, you're getting bigger. Here, this is not part of a move. This is just consolidation, so we won't measure that. Here is the beginning of this next move, right? And it also just happens to be the low of this range. This was a 79% move. If you don't like that, you want to keep it tighter, we can do something like that, 68% move, whatever. I'm not going to take the high because this was, again, I'm not going for the absolute low to the absolute high. I'm just going for the main meat of the move. How much, like this was the move. This absolutely was. This thing here, again, at the low of the range, it just happens to be the beginning of this move, 91% up. I'm not going to measure from here because that's the low of the range, but that's not the move. I think the move actually started here, and from that low to this high, we moved up 105%. You can see a trend, right? 55%, 58%, 68%, 91%, 105%, 106% essentially, actually. What's happening? The moves are getting bigger as we go. So let's assume that we stop, we find support around 73K. Let's assume we find support even lower at 70K. Let's say 70,500. Yeah, sure. Somewhere around there. If we move up 105%, which we won't, we'll move up more than that, right? I'm basically insinuating that we're going to see a larger move. 105% would imply a move essentially that's at about 145K, $145,000. If we take a high to a low here and we look, you can see that this would take us right above our 141.4, and we could stop here. It's very possible that we could stop here, but I think that we complete the thought and we go all the way up to that next fib level, which is at about 173K, 175K. Why? Because we're going to see a bigger move. We're going to see a bigger move. If we see a bigger move, how much bigger is it going to be? I don't know if that's for me to say, but I would think that we at least break through 150K and at the most see 173K. I think that's where we're going to go. All after we pull down to this 74 to $70,000 area, maybe 68,000, 66,000 could even happen, right? It just depends on what goes on. I don't think I have anything else that I want to say, guys. I'm very much under the impression that we go lower. I'm very much under the impression, and this weekend happened exactly as predicted, right? We said this on Friday that it would likely be a boring day, because Friday, by the end of the day, we were neutral, so we thought Friday would close boring. Saturday would be boring. And then Sunday, maybe late Sunday is what I said, might be when we start to pick up things. This is not picking up, right? We're up 0.5% today. This is not picking up. So maybe later today, or if not, more probably Monday, we'll start to pick up. And I think the direction that we're going to go is actually, when I say pick up, I should say put down. We're going to start to move down. I think that's what's going to happen. We're going to move down throughout the rest of March, and ideally before Tariff Wednesday on the 2nd of April, we will have resolution of this overall trend down. We will be at our lows and finally get ready to move up. I want to be very clear. Two things could happen, and I'll let you know which one I think is more likely to happen. Okay, we could go up, we could go down. No, that's not what I'm here to say. What I think is going to happen is when we do move down and we find our lows, wherever they might be, okay, I don't think that we're going to move up just like this. I don't think it's going to be a quick recovery like that. It could be. That's option one. It could be a fast, rapid recovery. It could be. Or option two, what I think it's going to be is a little recovery. We're going to figure ourselves out, right? We're going to move up. We're going to move down. We might even like kind of move sideways a little bit, right? Do some kind of weird whatever. And then going into the end of April, I think we'll start to really recover. Going into May, we'll really start to recover. People are going to be in disbelief. We're going to find resistance here, guys. We're going to find resistance here and go back down. We're in a bear market. It's a lower high. Nope. We're going to keep going up into May, and then going into the end of May, maybe even June. That's when I think we're going to see these target areas happen, right? There we go. Something like that, right? The way that it's not letting me stop. Okay, that was kind of bad. That would be end of May, end of June, going right to this kind of target area at that trajectory, which is ugly. Who's to say that it happens exactly like that? But I'm just saying, really what I'm trying to say without drawing the lines, in essence, is once we find our lows, we're going to do one of two things. One, which I think is less likely to happen, we rip immediately. And maybe we do, but it's not going to be a continuous rip, right? Or two, and more likely, we'll find our low, we'll move up, but it's not going to be too dramatic for too long. We'll kind of move sideways and figure ourselves out like we did at this last low here. We found a low here. Did we move up to new all-time highs immediately? No, we figured ourselves out for a little bit. I don't think it'll take this long, but still a little bit, right? Did we move up immediately when we found our low here? No, we moved sideways for a little bit. Then we moved up and we moved sideways a little bit, and then we carried on with our bad selves, right? Whenever we found this low here, did we move up immediately? No, we dilly-dallied for a little bit, and then we got on with ourselves, right? Here, yes, but this was in this kind of range. It doesn't really count to my point. All right, fair enough. This one from the low and up, it can happen. We do see it happen, but most of the time it's not a thing. So we'll see how it goes. I've got nothing else for you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe. I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care of yourselves. Thank you all for being here. Bye-bye.